So some fans of Arrow absolutely love the new flash forward scenes that season 7 has introduced, offering a very intriguing mystery that is unfolding bit by bit, some even saying that they enjoy them more than the present day scenes. But some other fans are convinced that this is only hurting the show rather than bringing something new and good, so I think we should talk about this. How's it going, everybody? My name is BobaTalks and welcome to a brand new Arrow Season 7 video, and today we're going to discuss the shiny new thing that Arrow has introduced this season, and that is the flash forward scenes. Now first of all, I definitely want to say before we start this that I am personally a big fan of these future scenes that are taking place in Arrow Season 7, and I am in no way dishing out hate to the show for what I think is a very intriguing story which offers the feelings to most of the audience of, oh wow, what did that really happen and why? And more feelings just of, oh man, I can't wait till we figure out and find out the reason behind this. But the whole point of this video is to open a discussion with you guys, because after hearing the opinion of others who are still big fans of Arrow, yet truly believe that this only actually sets the show's future in stone, and that particular reason not being a great thing for reasons I'll get into in this video, it definitely does offer a new perspective that may have you rethink your stance on the whole thing. For me personally, I still enjoy the idea of them despite agreeing with some of the following reasons, and will continue to look forward to each and every one to come because, you know, I love mystery elements unfolding in shows, whether it's The Flash or Arrow, whatever, and we're for sure only going to get dribs and drabs of this to come, continuously teasing us to find out exactly what happens throughout, rather than that of like a full episode of flash forwards, as, you know, it's the future after all, and you do not want to give it all away in one massive drop. However, we don't know for sure how long these scenes will be around, as we're only 4 episodes into the season. I believe that Beth Schwartz did say they wouldn't be every single episode and they would be all series long, but will they be bleeding into the next season? And some of the reasons out there for as to why these flash forward scenes aren't a great idea definitely give a good point in my opinion, but perhaps it's more of a, well, you know, there's pros and cons to everything. But kick back and have a listen as to why the future scenes might actually not be great for Arrow and its future as you may have previously believed. The first reason that some fans are concerned about the flash forward scenes this season is because they cement Arrow's future in stone. Supposedly they have said that Arrow isn't doing time travel to keep the show more grounded, which is something usually Arrow strives for every season, and what we're seeing on screen right now is the future. For some fans, this takes away a lot of the suspense of the show, knowing what happens to certain characters in the future already. Even borderline some people going as far as saying it makes the present day scenes pointless. We know that Roy left Star City and went to Lian, granted we don't know why as of yet at the time I'm making this video, but I'm sure we will in no time. We know that Dinah likely doesn't have a Canary cry due to the whopping great big scar on her throat. We know that Renee has left Star City and wouldn't be seen dead in it, yet for a reason we'll likely find out pretty much sooner or later, while his daughter has become a member of the Vigilante resistance and Black Canary in training, so it seems. We also know that Felicity and Oliver left William in Cambridge for some reason, and that apparently Felicity is dead. And to play devil's advocate here, that is a lot of knowledge already about things in the future, with only more to come for sure. So when it comes down to it, that does kind of feel like there aren't any consequences with our current characters on the show that we've seen so far in the future scenes. I mean, we're talking about Dinah, William, and Roy, not including Felicity's supposed death, which may or may not be true, we're gonna have to wait to find out there, or Dinah's injury she has gotten between the present and the future, but that still isn't a grave consequence to all of the present day scenes for our characters, in theory for seasons and seasons and seasons to come. So when you think of it this way and the knowledge that we already know, it does feel a little bit like, oh, okay then. Now of course everyone, at the same time I have to disagree overall there. Even though when you think about those reasonings enough, just because we know a journey's end, and may I mention that we're not getting it all at once, nor likely a definitive ending to this future storyline this season, it doesn't mean that a story isn't there for present day scenes. I mean, there are shows in development right now and popular shows out there that are prequels to things that we know will come to pass, and you could adopt that philosophy with Arrow's present day scenes and the future ones we are getting this season. So for those who are saying that if the future is indeed cemented and if there is no time machine introduction in the future scenes, so none of this can indeed change, then what is the point of this show? I mean, I do think that is a bit far, but at the same time, I really can't help but agree and understand if you feel underwhelmed by the prospect of how this affects the show in a way it never has before. So some of you may have been thinking, but Boba, the Flash does stories that involve changing the future all the time on the show, and that's entertaining to watch. Well, yeah, you're correct, but that is the show called The Flash, involving a speedster who has the ability to time travel, and essentially the show and the hero will more or less consistently somehow always involve the multiverse and time travel, as there's too many intricacies in characters and possible stories that can relate to it. So as I mentioned in this video already, as much as Arrow has tried new things like magic in season 4, it has remained the more grounded show of the Arrowverse. And time travel isn't really a thing you would ever expect to see, and most fans wouldn't want to see that included either. So with all of that in mind, and knowing what our characters are up to and where they're going to be around 20 years into the future, there is only one way really that this could change. The only way I can think of the future not being solidified, much like others have suggested out there, that is, surprise surprise, bringing time travel into Arrow. Now there are already theories out there like the new copycat Archer is actually William, who has come back in time, which I'm sorry to say to those who believe that, but I couldn't disagree anymore with that. We essentially already know who that Archer is, but I'm not going to get into that in this video, but it's not a male. But I assume the reasoning out there for this time traveling William theory is to prevent this future that we're currently seeing in the flash forward scenes, I'm guessing. Either way guys, this isn't going to happen. William isn't going to be a badass vigilante who travels back in time to kill people in present day Star City and hang out. Also, even if they were going to bring time travel into Arrow, it would essentially go against what the showrunners have said and would essentially be cheating for Arrow, and we may as well call the show The Flash, as they'd be trying to prevent a future somewhat crisis in Star City. So this is ultimately the scary thing for some, that this is all very real and we know exactly what happens in Star City in years and years to come, years beyond even what Arrow seasons are ever going to get to, and thus, as I mentioned earlier, making the show for some fans everything that Oliver and Team Arrow has done for Star City up until this point lackluster. I mean, if it's all going to be as it is where we see William and Roy walking down those streets in the most recent episode. And if you're thinking, but in the future the current storyline could end up solved for William, Roy, Dinah and the Vigilante Resistance, then okay, sure. The future might end up being bright by the end of the flash forward scenes, but then we still know exactly how things will resolve many years down the line. I feel like the hole is getting deeper here the more you explore that, but I don't think we'll see a proper future resolution in the flash forward scenes anyway. It would just be way too much of a reveal. Now, Beth Schwartz has said that the point of the flash forward scenes are to show how the present is affecting the characters in the future, and that the show has previously had great success in the uniqueness of the flashback scenes, so through implementing the flash forward scenes, it thus opens a huge world for the show, and so creativity just pours in, and she goes on to say how now the stories are endless. So in conclusion to this video, as a big fan of Arrow, I'm honestly kind of split down the middle. I agree with what Beth Schwartz said in how these flash forward scenes do open a huge world now for the show and offer much creativity to be implemented. The stories are now potentially endless, and now offers something new to Arrow that fills in the gap of the flashback scenes, and because in theory if Arrow kept going on for a few more seasons, we could keep seeing how the present day will impact our future characters, and interesting stories could be made out of that in the future for sure. But there's still that one concern that I can't help but say keeps nagging me about this, and what others have pointed out, and now I have finally come to realize myself and even borderline agree with, that no matter what, having knowledge of exactly where our characters are in 20 years time, give or take some mystery that will get unveiled to us through these future scenes of course, Regardless, we now know that Dinah is going to be more or less fine, minus a horrible incident that will leave her with a whopping great big scar on her throat. We know what William grows up to do. He gets on a boat, he goes to the island, he finds Roy comes back, and I'm speaking on the behalf of the future of this season 2 with even more flash forward scenes revealing even more at the same time. Because guess what? We are going to find out even more, and take that as you will. So other than that, guys, let me know what you think of these flash forward scenes. Are you like me and that you enjoy them, but now maybe after hearing this video, do you think, wait a second, like this does kind of feel like a bit underwhelming for all the reasons that I mentioned, even though at the same time it does offer the show a lot of mystery and intriguing stories to come? I would just love to hear what you think, whether you didn't like them for any of the reasons I listed to begin with, or if you now just honestly think, hey, they aren't actually as great as what I thought they were. And if that's the case, I am sorry if I brought that and ruined your future flash forward scenes. But, you know, I'm still going to enjoy them, but it definitely does leave this era in the show I feel that they can't really take back now unless they introduce time travel. So if you guys did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you click that like button, as it only does take a second of your time and it really helps this video get out there. If you want to see more Arrow videos just like this, including theory videos, reviews, trailer breakdowns, you name it, be sure to subscribe to this channel to never miss out on a single one, and be sure to click that notification button so you know the second it comes out on this channel. Aside from that, guys, links to my social media and how to stay up to date with me a little bit more personally are in the description down below. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you vigilantes in the next video. Goodbye.